Hey, welcome to Reason for Truth. I'm your host, Stevie Garofalo. You know, Reason for Truth, where the truth always comes first, the reasons last, but we're always and constantly learning, because when we stop learning, we stop teaching, or at least stop teaching well. Today, I just want to talk to you off the cuff about the state of the world in light of the God's promises. I want to just talk to you in general, kind of what's going on. A lot of people see so many things that are going on in culture, and I want to share with you just a few thoughts of where I think we're going. I think that there's always the present, there's always the future, and there's always the past. And I think you can see a lot of other episodes on, we just did one on why we need to be in the present. God is I am. So to be closest to God is to be just in the present. God has no past and he has no future. He just is I am, right? He's just at one thing. He's a simple being. He's infinite, so he doesn't have a beginning. He doesn't have an end. So I think we need to just focus on where we're at today. We do need to prepare for tomorrow. The world's changing. The United States is changing greatly. I'm convinced that my personal opinion is that you have a number of handlers in the highest levels of government, certainly in the United States, who have decided that they want to make, in sense of kind of bringing one world government order type of thing, they have brought America down and continue to do so. And while I think patriots, in a sense, and whether either side that you're on, I do think that the patriots say eventually regain most of that ground. I do think the damage is done to a certain extent. But so you have to accept that America is. Remember the past. Let's not look at what the past is. But in the future we can hope for the future. That's what we do, but we build in the present. What we need to do is bring our country back to Christ. That's what God will restore us, but he's going to restore us as something different. We're not the great generation. We're way past that. So, and we have a lot of debt. Our debt in this country is over 32 trillion. That's with a T. We have a debt level that is for basically when you add in the debt that is yet uncalculated outside of that for things like Social Security. And there's over 55,000 different pensions in this country. And all that is really fueled on debt. You just saw what happened in Britain. They came within hours, not days, hours within their entire national pension system failing. And they had immediately they had been raising interest rates, and they went ahead and lowered them. They had to lower them so that if I understand correctly, I could be wrong, but I believe they did that so they can borrow money cheap, reinvest, and let's say they borrow, for example, 3% versus 6%. They can reinvest in the market, make 6%, and continue to fund those liabilities. Interesting. They can't just print money up so easily. The United States can, because we're still the world's currency, but every other nation, they can produce euros, but really it's tied to the U.S. dollar. It's even more empty than the U.S. dollar. Our money now at this point is virtual. So why do I say these things? I say them because I've been around since the 60s. I was born in the 60s. And it's interesting how we've lived in somewhat of a plastic artificial life for the last couple decades. We lost our heads. We lost our minds. People, the whole ethical way of doing business has gone out the window. I think it's just greed over money. They produced 50% of the money that exists in the United States, the monetary supply, was added in the last 2 years. You get that? 50%? I think it's 50%. That's why you have raging inflation, but you also have all that money has been funneled within really the top tier of, very few people in the country, namely through the stock market. That's what you're seeing. And as you could see, you have Afghanistan, which was a terrible moment for the United States, where you just got up and you left 80 billion or 90 billion of your top grade military equipment. Why was that? I think it was an effort to bring the United States down. And I think you see that in a number of other areas because they want to make everybody even. Well, it's so hard. America has been so high above other things for different reasons. Our technology, God has blessed us over the years, and we have a strong work ethic, and there's a lot of things, a lot of natural resources. And why would you stop drilling for gas and oil, right, when you are the world leader in that? You have more than anybody else. Why do you do that? Well, to bring the United States down. Anyways, that's not designed to be political, telling you what I see is going on. So in the end, God's going to use all this for our good, because in a sense, we need it to be leveled. We're just out of control monetarily. Even the poor are rich in this country, and most people don't realize that. And I would suggest go on a missions trip with your church and go to see what other people live, how they live. We just went to Costa Rica, and the poor people don't really, from my understanding, they don't really see themselves poor in the same way that we see ourselves poor. Our way of seeing ourselves poor is living more or less, even if it's in the projects, you still have a home with a building, with a structure, with air conditioning and heating, and the government feeds you, right? Even on that. The poor there, they live in a shack with a tin roof with no air conditioner and not even a paved driveway. Those are two different categories. Here's my point. The United States is going to be something very different in the world, and what it's going to be, God knows, we don't know, but I think some of that is determined by the Christians in the United States of America. Are we going to step up? Are we going to go ahead and make sure that we take our faith serious and not as a recreational thing that we kind of do for an hour a week? Are we going to be in our Bibles reading every week? Are we going to be authentic to other Christians? Are we not going to take advantage of other Christians? Are we not, listen, there's a lot of that goes on. It's good to be generous in the Christian body. We're called to love each other and be generous to each other, but not to take advantage of each other, not to use each other. So that's the first line of defense here, of offense. How do I know that? It's happening in Iraq. It's happening in Iran. The church in China is at an all-time high. When Christianity is persecuted, it grows. When it's left into a very comfortable space of prominence and comfort and affluency, always 100% of the time, it gets dissolved. This gets boiled out in the kettle, the frog in the kettle, very slowly. So that's what I think is happening. There's a lot more of it. If you want to know the U.S. currency, I think within 10 years is certainly not what it is now. I think within 5 to 10 years, the American currency as the world's currency will no longer be. I think it'll be still the world's currency for parts of the world. And there is a thing, if you want to look it up, I was talking to a friend last night called BRICS. You can see that it's part of it's China, India, Russia. I think Iran is part of that. Many countries, 20 countries in total and expanding. And they have created kind of like a trading partnership, but they're not going to be trading with the U.S. dollar anymore. They're going to be using gold and a basket of currencies. But ultimately, gold's being scooped up as well to back those currencies. But they want to trade, in other words, they want to trade in their own currencies. Saudi Arabia, right, one of the world's greatest oil producers, is now for the first time, they're exchanging in things other than the U.S. dollar. You ever heard of the petrodollar? Well, they're now using the yen in addition to the dollar. They're hedging their bets, and they're using as well precious metals and other commodities. So this is important. Why is it important? Because slowly the world is weaning off the United States as the world's currency, right? De facto currency. Why? Because we were naughty. That's why. We need to repent. We need to turn to God. There is so much more I could talk about, but that's what I just want to throw at you for today. Those are not, listen, do those things bother me? At once upon a time, they did. All the things I talked about, they're in the past. Can we do anything to change them? No. You can't go back and change the past. What we can do is make changes here forward in the future, for the future and into the future. But today, let's get on our knees, start in prayer. Number one. Number two, let's share faith with others authentically. Let's take the time to disciple people, just not be itinerant speakers or, let's authentically pour into other people's lives. Let's then make sure that we do get involved in politics at some level. Make sure we support politicians who truly support the Christian beliefs, because those are good beliefs. The Christian beliefs, by the way, benefit everybody, even the non-Christian, even the people who hate Christianity. Christianity benefits them, the Christian way, and the values and the ethics. And then lastly, let's make sure that we take the time really to speak with other people with love, even though it may be in truth, when it comes to social, moral, and political issues. If the subject comes up, let's not get passionate and argue with people. Let's reason with them. Let's live the life of Jesus Christ, just the way Jesus did. The way he lived his life is something that most people just love, the way he lived his life. Then once you have achieved that, you've earned the right to hear, to be heard, to be seen, and to be listened to. And that's how we're going to turn this country. That's how we're going to turn the West. And that's how we're going to turn the whole world, the East, West, the Middle East. around for Jesus Christ. Appreciate you tuning in today's episode. Want you to do a couple things. Make sure that you subscribe to this channel. As always, hit that alert bell. But listen, a couple things. If you want some great online training, some basic training and apologetics for evangelism, check out equippedacademy.com. Sign up for that course. And lastly, you want to join my community. That's the one thing I want you to stop. Boom, sign up. StephenGarofalo.com. Go there and you can sign up for free. There's a subscriber level if you want to do that, but a lot of stuff's there for free for you. That's where I do my posting. God's blessings to you. Let's have hope. Let's be in prayer. Let's step up to the plate. Let's take this country and the world back for Christ. I'm your host, Stevie Garofalo, with this is your Reason for Truth for today.